Namaste and a very good morning to you all. This is Gaurav Sharma and our today's video is on the internal assessment. My topic is Press and Registration of Books Act. Well, let's discuss on this topic by the help of the PPT that I have created. My teacher for this topic is Dr. Surendra sir. So the contents of the topic are first introduction, then objective, history, statement of objects and reasons, penalties, registration of newspapers, then penalties. Well, this act was enacted with a view to evaluating the present position of books, newspapers, and magazines in the country at any given time. The most important aspect of this act is that every copy of a newspaper shall contain the name of its owner, publisher, and editor printed clearly on all the copies. The printer of every newspaper is required to deliver to the state government free of expense 2 copies of each issue of the newspaper as soon as it is published. Failure to do so is treated as an offense. Okay, so let's move on to introduction first. During the reign of British government in India, writing of books and other informatory material took a concrete shape, and with the advent of printing presses, various books on almost all the subjects and periodicals touching every aspect of life started appearing. Trust on education gave an impetus to this, with the result that a lot of printed material became available. Those in the field of writing, publishing, and printing gave a thought to organize a system for keeping a record of the publications. The then East India Company was urged to keep a record of the publications. An attempt was made by the authorities to make a collection of the books and other publications emanating from the various printing presses throughout India. Board of Directors of East India Company issued an instruction that copies of every important and interesting work published in India should be dispatched to England to be deposited in the Library of India House. Such an instruction had a slow impact. Again, the Royal Asiatic Society in London urged the then Secretary of State for India to repeat the instruction of the late Board of Directors of East India Company, and also desired that catalogues of all the works published in India should establish a system of compulsory sales to government of 3 copies of each work in India. To achieve this purpose, a bill was introduced in the legislature for the regulation of printing presses and newspapers for the preservation of copies of books and periodicals containing news printed in the whole of India and for the registration of such books and periodicals containing news. Well, the objectives of PRB Act 1857 were to secure the information relating to the printing establishment and their publications, to regulate the printing press and newspapers, preserve and register copies of every book and newspaper printed in India, to prevent publication of anonymous literature of the PRB Act in India. Well, the legacy begins with the Censorship of Press Act 1799, which was imposed by Lord Wellesley to get the press ahead of a French invasion of India. This was retracted in 1818 by Lord Hastings. Acting Governor General John Adams enacted the Licensing Regulation Ordinance 1823. It had a draconian provision that no one could start or continue to use a press without registration. Ram Mohan Roy's Miratul Akbar had to cease publication thanks to this act. Governor General Metcalfe abolished the obnoxious 1823 ordinance to replace it with the Press Act of 1835. This act required a printer and for the first time a publisher to give a precise account of the premises used for printing and publication. This was also the first act that allowed a declaration of cease of function, thus absolving one of any future wrongdoing. Between 1835 and 1857, Indian vernacular press saw rapid growth across India. The licensing of 1857 brought newspapers, printed matter, and all books under the purview of law. The freedom of the press only grew worse with the uprising later that year. Well, let's discuss about the statement of objects and reasons. These are stated in the Ministry and Information Broadcasting site uh, for the help of understanding the Press and Registration of Books Act 1857. Okay, let's discuss them one by one. First one is it has for many years been the endeavor of the authorities to make a collection of the books and other publications emanating from the various printing presses at work throughout the country. It was an instruction to the late Board of Directors of the East India Company that copies of every important and interesting work published should be dispatched to England to be deposited in the Library of India House. And again, on the urgent requisition of the Royal Asiatic Society in London, the Secretary of State for India repeated the instructions of the late Board of Directors and desired also that catalogues of all works published in India should be sent to England. The above instruction had special reference to the province of Lower Bengal, and the local authorities to this province were set in motion. And on a plan suggested by Mr. Delboy Wheeler of the Home Office and matured by Mr. Robinson, Bengali translator to the Government of Bengal, the system of registration of books on terms advantageous to publishers was notified, and a catalogue of books published in the province of Lower Bengal was prepared. But this catalogue had necessarily to be prepared by its editor, not with the books before him, but from such imperfect and scattered notices and advertisements of such books as he could collect from newspapers and such resources, and was found therefore to be a great extent and essentially incorrect, and the registration system completely broke down. There having been but 3 applications for registration in the course of some 9 months. To send to England catalogues essentially and to considerable extent incorrect of or such books as can be rooted out by private and perfunctory enquiries is manifestly of no sort of use. Yet the catalogues prepared in 1862, imperfected as it was, showed a list of some 1,500 books of more or less interest and importance, all published within the last 10 or 15 years. And it is notorious that in the province of Lower Bengal, at least there has been of late years very great activity in the literary world. Every year shows no inconsiderable increase in the amount of works, original or reprinted, published, and in the number of printing presses established. The literature of a country is no doubt an index of the opinion and condition of the people, and such an index it is essential to good government that the rules of a country should possess. In the interest too of history and the scholars of Europe, it is undoubtedly wise to provide that a complete collection of the publications of press of this country should be made as well as in this country as in England. It cannot do but be of benefit to authors and publishers that catalogues of their works, and to be a very limited extent copies of the works themselves should be accessible to the public at certain well-known places. Systems of voluntary registration of publications have been found to fail. It is therefore proposed by this bill to establish a system of compulsory sale to government of 3 copies of each book or similar work printed in India. One copy of the work will be sent to England, and the two others, after the book has been registered, will be kept in this country to be deposited in places. The proposed new museum, for instance, where they will be carefully preserved. A list of works registered will be published each quarter in the official gazette. It is not quite clear that the provisions of the proposed bill are as yet required in the province other than that of Lower Bengal. But inasmuch as the said provisions are reasonable and simple, and inasmuch as it is certain that with the spread of education there will arise in the provinces of the empire, as there has arisen in Bengal, a corresponding activity in literature, it is provided that the bill may be extended by notification to any part of the empire. Then let's talk about the penalties. Okay, the first one is a penalty for making false statement. Any person who shall, in making a declaration, make a statement which is false, shall be punished by a fine of rupees 2000 or imprisonment for a term not exceeding 6 months. Penalty for printing or publishing newspaper without conforming to rules. Whoever shall edit, print or publish any newspaper without following the rules laid down is liable to be punished with fine of not less than rupees 2000 or imprisonment for a term not exceeding 6 months, or maybe both. When the offence is committed in relation to a newspaper, the magistrate may also cancel the declaration. Penalty for failure to supply copies of newspaper to press registrar. In this case, if any person who has ceased to be a printer or publisher of a newspaper fails or neglects to make a declaration, shall be punishable by a fine not exceeding rupees 200. The next slide is registration of newspapers. Under the Act, the central government may appoint a registrar of newspapers for India. He is required to do the following: maintain in the prescribed manner a register of newspapers. As far as may be practicable, the register may contain particulars such as title of the newspaper, language in which the newspaper is published, periodicity of the publication of the newspaper, name of the editor, printer and publisher of the newspaper, place of printing and publication, average number of pages per week, number of days of publication in the year, average number of copies printed, the average number of copies sold to the public, and the average number of copies distributed free to the public. Retail selling price per copy, name and addresses of the owners of the newspaper. On receiving a declaration in respect of a newspaper and on the publication of such newspaper, the press registrar shall, as soon as practicable thereafter, issue a certificate of registration in respect of that newspaper to the publisher. The publisher of every newspaper shall furnish to the press registrar all details. Here are the penalties. If the publisher of a newspaper refuses or neglects to comply with the provisions of Section 19B or Section 19E, any particulars relating to the newspaper which he has reason to believe to be false, he shall be punishable with fine which may extend to 500 rupees. Penalty for improper disclosure of information. If any person engaged in connecting with the collection of information under this Act willfully discloses any information or the contents of any return given or furnished under this Act, otherwise than in the execution of his duties under this Act, or for the purposes of the prosecution of an offence under this Act or under the Indian Penal Code, 45 of 1816, he shall be punishable with imprisonment for a term which may extend to 6 months, or with fine which may extend to 1000 rupees or at the time of British rule, various newspapers were writing articles that were motivating the Indians for the freedom of the nation, and uh, and that was working good for the whole nation, because the whole nation was gathering together due to that newspaper, due to those articles, due to this motivational speaks for the nation. A patriotic feeling was there in the air, and to stop that, the British government took a decision, and they implemented this act so that they can put various restrictions on the various newspapers running at the time, so that they won't showy news that can be uh, dangerous for the British government, that can affect British government, that can affect the working of British government or the ruling of that government. Thank you for watching this video. Have a good day ahead.